Idyllic settings are stereotypical of the indie genre, connoting peace and environmentalism as the artist's key values. They denote Strauss's binary opposites of man and nature coming together. Industrial settings are linked to working and making money, connoting greed and corruption. They establish the theme of danger and pessimism of Todorov's recognition of disruption stage in his narrative theory. Secure settings connote security and act as a safe base. They also symbolise an enclosed mindset cut off from the rest of the world. Tracking camera movement on roads signifies progression of a journey and connotes optimism. I reinforce idyllic settings to show my artist's environmentalist values. They want tranquility between all humans and nature. I use the forest to show my character's relationship getting intimate, as enclosed trees connote closeness and growth. I use the cafe to establish Todorov's equilibrium, as they refer to the daily lives of people working and eating. The black and white filter supports the idea of corruption of industrial setting, as it refers to the selfishness of workers wanting money or eating to satisfy their own needs, connoting the neglect of others and pessimism of humanity. I conform to a typical shelter to show that my couple feel safe with each other and that they are uniting together as one mentality in a romantic union, connoting trust and harmony. Similar to Rose, past represent a journey, and they also represent going into the unknown, good or bad. Similar to Rose, past represent a journey, and they also represent going into the unknown, good or bad. They show emotional distance between characters, such as emotional coldness, and distant characters willing to go for each other, connoting passionate love. I oppose stock settings by using an enclosed space to signify my artist wants peace and people to come together. This also links to my narrative, as it represents my couple coming together, connoting love and emotional closeness. My audience research shows that my audience always expects to see a hero and a princess within the narrative part of indie music videos. They may also expect to see a villain or the artist as observers. Props macho courageous hero dominates the indie genre. Princess's vulnerabilities are encoded through the white dainty dress she wears to connote her innocence and purity. The villain wears dark attire to denote a shadow, connoting his inhumaneness and paranoia from the fear of the unknown. I reinforce all the traits of a hero, however I change the gender to female. This challenges representation theories of females being weak and sexualised as princesses through Laura Maury's idea of the male gaze. Promoting feminism and expressing my artist's belief that anyone could be a hero regardless of their social group. Again, I kept all the traits the same as this character, however I changed the gender to male. Since not all of my audience was female and 12.5% was male, I decided to challenge the unrealistic representation of men being macho men, instead representing them as a counter-type princess, to highlight my artist's core value of equality, by showing they could just be as emotionally unstable as females. I reinforced the typical villain by using mise-en-scène costume of a dark hoodie and a dark cap to denote he's a gangster, supporting Cohen's idea of moral panic as they're associated with drugs, alcohol, money, some of the issues my artist wants to raise awareness of. Greenery denotes nature and refers to themes of renewal and growth. This is also a common piece of iconography. And touching has Barthes' semiotics of emotions like longing and intimacy, as well as caring from the idea of giving a helping hand. Props like guitars are used to connote the realism and naturalness of the indie genre compared to genres such as pop, which are more artificial by using sound effects. They also connote the passion indie artists have performing their music, establishing the performance element of music videos. High key lighting is often used in relation to the narrative to connote the themes of hope and optimism, that the problem will be overcome, the attempt to repair the disruption stage of the narrative. Todorov. My audience research has supported that instruments, natural settings and high key lighting are conventional of the indie genre. I also found that vehicles are stereotypical of the indie genre, as 100% of participants in my audience research said that they had noticed vehicles in the indie music videos they had watched. I reinforce this stereotype to firstly show that this is a performance section of my music video, and to show that the artists are having fun using the instruments, highlighting their authentic love for music, which their fans can relate to, being indie music lovers themselves. I also use this convention, as hands connote crafting and responsibility, linking to environmentalism as it shows that we can be active and change the problems of the world ourselves. I challenge conventions by using this less known piece of iconography. Blood is linked to violence and corruption, themes which my artists want to raise awareness of with their music. The shape of the blood denotes a tear, signifying a release of emotion, in this case, the romantic passion that the characters have for each other. I challenge conventions through the use of black and white filters. The anchorage of monochrome is solidarity and darkness, but when the girl comes in it changes to colour to denote the romantic chemistry between the characters. The two colours signify Strauss's binary opposites of dark and light. Triumph of colour throughout both performance and narrative sectors signifies that people can get through hard times, which my artists want to express to their fans. Using my audience research, I identified two typical narratives. My audience suggested that a guy and a girl fall in love, or that there is some kind of obstacle characters have to overcome. In terms of Todorov's narrative theory, here is a broad narrative that indie music videos tended to follow. I chose to reinforce Todorov's typical narrative structure found in most indie music videos, and merge the two findings in my audience research of a guy and girl falling in love and a problem for them to resolve. My Equilibrium featured a guy sitting and waiting in a cafe, looking at the clock, and a girl talking to someone. My Disruption starts when the guy notices the girl walking out and then the two argue outside. This changes to the recognition of disruption when the guy is left alone by the girl and he is later beaten up. The attempt to repair the disruption consists of the girl saving the guy and the two soon falling in love again. The equilibrium is then reinstated when the two realise they're both madly in love with each other and unite together. I challenge convention that include this stage as my artist's key value is peace. The typical indie digipacks I looked at featured abstract artwork, as this demonstrates conflicting themes of the indie genre, e.g. environmentalism and hope in Coldplay's Parachutes, freedom and individuality from the denotation of a Picasso painting in Milo Green's Milo Green, and abandonment and isolation from the empty car in Arcade Fire's The Suburbs. Black and white are often used to demonstrate the themes we see in the music videos, such as hope and pessimism. The conventional fonts for the main album titles of the digipack is abstract and quirky, as this instantly sells the digipack as being a part of the indie genre because of the anchorage it has with the eccentric images used. The remaining text uses quite basic fonts, yet they have a serious tone about them. There are typical structural components of indie digipacks. These include a barcode as shown in the brown square, song lyrics as shown in the yellow circle, and the recording company used as underlined in the black marker. As you can see, I reinforce the idea of there being an abstract image on the indie digipacks by having a silhouette of both my artists and having a black and white contrast to create an abstract image. I also reinforce the colour of the text being black and white, as this shows the themes of my music videos such as hope and pessimism. I challenge the convention of main titles having an abstract font, instead using a simple font to keep the focus on the colour. I have reinforced typical structural components of indie digipacks by having the barcode, song titles and recording company on the back of my digipack. I challenge the convention of main titles having an abstract font, instead using a simple font to keep the focus on the colour of the font. My audience research gave me an insight on the typical components that I should include in my album poster. They all said that a release date and an album picture were essential on an album poster, whereas song titles and album reviews were less common features they noticed. I noticed similar features while studying indie album posters. Either the album front image or similar artwork was featured. The typical typography was quite fun and took up a lot of the poster's space to make it engaging for audiences. Details of how and where to buy the album, such as websites, as this helps keep up to date with modern audiences and newer technology. The main convention I've noticed with these adverts was the simplicity of them, as they featured minimal text and large-scale images, which makes them easy and eye-catching to see from a distance as well as up close. Looking back at my audience research and my album posters that I researched, I feel like I have incorporated a lot of features. I reinforced the conventions of the typography, as I had the title quite fun to engage audiences, and I used minimal text. I supported my audience's finding by including the album poster on the front and also the release date in bold. However, there were a few conventions that I challenged. I decided to layer the digipack front picture on top of the picture I used for the back of my digipack to show the contrasting themes of the album, from the geometric pattern showing the more abstract themes to the natural wooden background to show the environmentalist values of the artist. I also added an uncommon feature of reviews and a star rating, as the word insightful shows the depth of the album, establishing that it's part of the indie genre, whereas the star rating adds value and renown to the album, making it stand out amongst its competitors and attract new fans. Overall, I believe that I mainly conform to the conventions of the indie genre, specifically with my print work. Both my digipack and my album poster feature the typical structural components you'd expect to find in these indie works, and I made minor deviations from the conventions by using a simple font for my digipack front and by adding atypical features on my album poster like the reviews and album rating. I did challenge some of the indie conventions in my music video, but this was only to reinforce my artist's values. For instance, challenging representation theories by having a female hero to promote feminism, and by having my lead singer be Asian to promote equality in the music industry. I used monochrome and colour filters as iconography, but this was only to reinforce the contrasting themes of hope and pessimism that are typical of the indie genre.